The 1 Hour English Daily.
一天一小时英文情境式听力系列，多国口音，让你听得更广，听得更深入，听得更地道。别忘了订阅我们的频道，按赞、分享，并在下方留言打卡，一起互相鼓励，共同进步吧。
How do you usually start a conversation at international meetings?
I keep it simple, like asking about the weather.
Do you think small talk is important?
Definitely, it breaks the ice.
What about cultural differences?
It's tricky, but listening helps a lot.
Have you ever made a cultural mistake?
Oh yes, I once forgot to bow in Japan.
How did people react?
They were kind, but I felt so embarrassed.
How do you prepare for cultural differences?
I research and observe others carefully.
What's the best way to avoid misunderstandings?
Being clear and respectful always helps.
Do you use humor to connect with people?
Sometimes, but carefully, it's not universal.
Do you find accents challenging?
A bit, but it's fun to learn new ones.
Do you have any tips for building rapport?
Smile, be genuine, and stay open-minded.
Do hand gestures ever cause confusion?
Yes, I once used one that meant something rude.
How do you recover from mistakes?
Apologize sincerely and move on.
Have you ever felt intimidated by cultural expectations?
Yes, especially in very formal settings.
How do you deal with language barriers?
Use simple words, gestures, and lots of patience.
Do you think learning phrases in another language helps?
Absolutely, it shows respect and effort.
Have you picked up any new phrases from meetings?
Yes, I've learned thank you in 5 languages.
What's the funniest cultural moment you've had?
I accidentally used slang that confused everyone.
Do you think cultural training should be mandatory?
Yes, it makes international work smoother.
Do you use visual aids during presentations?
Always, they help bridge language gaps.
Do you enjoy working in multicultural teams?
Absolutely, it's inspiring and educational.
How often do you travel for work?
Almost every month, and you?
Not as often, maybe once every 3 months.
That sounds more manageable.
What's the longest flight you've had?
14 hours to Australia, it was exhausting.
Do you enjoy the in-flight meals?
Not really, but the snacks are okay.
Have you ever lost your luggage?
Yes, once in Paris, it was a nightmare.
How did you handle that?
I had to buy clothes at the airport.
What's your favorite part of business travel?
Exploring new cities after work.
What about the biggest challenge?
Jet lag, definitely.
Do you sleep well in hotels?
Sometimes, but the pillows can be tricky.
What's your trick for avoiding jet lag?
I try to stick to the local time immediately.
Do you bring work on the plane?
I try not to, but it's hard to avoid.
What do you do during long layovers?
I usually read or explore the airport.
What's the most interesting airport you've seen?
Singapore's Changi Airport, it's amazing.
Do you ever struggle with packing?
All the time, I never get it right.
What's your packing strategy?
Roll the clothes, it saves space.
Have you ever missed a flight?
Once, and it was because of traffic.
How did you deal with it?
I had to rebook and wait for hours.
What's your favorite travel gadget?
Noise-cancelling headphones, for sure.
Do you collect souvenirs from trips?
Yes, I love picking up magnets.
What's one piece of advice for business travel?
Always plan for delays.
How do you usually manage your work schedule?
I use a detailed planner, and you?
I rely on digital calendars mostly.
That's sufficient. Do you set reminders?
Yes, I set reminders for everything.
Me too. It saves me from forgetting things.
Do you block time for specific tasks?
Absolutely. It helps me stay focused.
Have you ever overbooked yourself?
Many times, it's a constant battle.
How do you recover from that?
I prioritize and reschedule things.
Do you work better in the morning or evening?
Morning, definitely, and you?
Evening, I feel more creative then.
That's interesting.
Do you ever multitask during meetings?
Guilty as charged, but I try not to.
What's your strategy for handling deadlines?
Break it into smaller tasks. It helps.
Have you ever missed a deadline?
Yes, and it was a tough lesson.
Do you prefer working alone or in a team?
It depends, but teams bring fresh ideas.
Do you keep a to-do list?
Always, it keeps me organized.
How do you handle distractions at work?
I wear headphones to block out noise.
What's the funniest thing that happened during work?
I accidentally muted myself in a meeting.
How do you unwind after a busy day?
A good book and some tea usually work.
Do you take short breaks during work?
Yes, they help me stay refreshed.
What's the biggest time management mistake you've made?
Overestimating how much I could finish.
How do you stay motivated during long projects?
I set small goals to celebrate progress.
What's one tip you'd give for better time management?
Always prioritize what matters most.
Have you ever worked in a multicultural team?
Yes, several times. It's always interesting.
What's the biggest challenge in such teams?
Communication, definitely.
How do you overcome communication barriers?
I use clear language and ask questions often.
Do cultural differences affect teamwork?
Sometimes, but it also brings creativity.
Have you learned anything surprising from colleagues?
Yes, like how punctuality varies by culture.
How do you build trust in diverse teams?
By showing respect and being consistent.
Have you faced any misunderstandings?
Yes, but we resolve them through discussion.
What's your favorite thing about diverse teams?
The mix of perspectives is incredible.
Do you think diversity leads to better results?
Absolutely, it sparks innovation.
Have you ever adapted to a new work culture?
Yes, it was challenging but rewarding.
Do you think humor helps in team bonding?
Definitely, but it has to be appropriate.
Have you encountered language barriers?
Yes, but gestures and visuals help a lot.
What do you do when conflicts arise in a team?
I listen first and try to mediate.
Do you celebrate cultural holidays at work?
Sometimes it depends on the team.
Do you think cultural training is necessary?
Absolutely, it builds understanding.
How do you adapt to different working styles?
By staying flexible and open-minded.
What's your funniest experience with a cultural misunderstanding?
I once gave a thumbs up where it wasn't polite.
Do you think diversity makes teams stronger?
Yes, it broadens perspectives and ideas.
How do you stay respectful in multicultural settings?
By learning about others' customs and practices.
What advice would you give for working in diverse teams?
Be patient, listen, and learn from others.
What's the most unique business etiquette in Australia?
Probably the casual greetings.
So, no formal handshakes.
Oh, we do, but it's more relaxed.
In the US, punctuality is critical.
Same here, but we're less stressed about it.
Do Australians prefer formal dress codes?
Not really, business casual is fine.
In the US, networking events are big.
We have them too, but often over a barbecue.
Do Australians use first names in meetings?
Yes, it's quite common.
In the US, titles are important.
Here, we focus more on the relationship.
Do Australians exchange business cards often?
Not as much, we're more casual about it.
Do you have formal dining etiquette for business?
Yes, but it's less rigid than in the US.
What's the key to good business etiquette?
Respect and being genuine.
Do Australians value direct communication?
Yes, we appreciate honesty.
In the US, hierarchy matters a lot.
Here, it's more about collaboration.
Do Australians prefer long meetings?
No, we like to keep things concise.
In the US, follow-up emails are crucial.
Same here, but we keep them brief.
Do Australians prefer face-to-face meetings?
Yes, personal interaction is important.
How do Australians handle disagreements in business?
Through open discussions, mostly.
Do you think business etiquette is changing?
Absolutely, it's becoming more relaxed.
What's the most surprising etiquette difference you've noticed?
The lack of small talk in some countries.
Do you think humor is acceptable in business settings?
Yes, but it depends on the context.
What's the best way to show respect in business?
Listen, be polite, and stay professional.
如果这部影片有帮助到您，欢迎按赞、分享、订阅、留言，来帮助更多的人。最后记得开启小铃铛，让我们一起共同学习与成长吧。